guys, Justin here, and I'm all about worship guitar. Welcome to another episode of Worshipify, where I take a preset that is not in the confines of the worship ministry realm, and I try to make it Sunday ready. Line 6 has been steadily releasing Amp of the Week, where they feature an amp model in the Helix ecosystem, and then they release a preset for free on Custom Tone. This week's preset was the Matchstick Jump, which I have loaded up on my Podgo. I don't know how this preset sounds like, so you're going to be looking and hearing my reactions for the first time. This preset has no compression. They didn't change the default positions of the volume and the wah, so I suppose this might be like a studio kind of situation where you don't need these blocks. The channel 1 drive is on 5, which tells me that it's going to be a naturally crunched up sound without any distortion pedals put in front of it. The delay is interesting. Multi-tap 4. I have no idea what this is. And if I were to turn it on and hear what the delays are doing. Oh, wow. If you're not on headphones, put on headphones right now, because what's happening with this delay is that the delay sound is moving from left to right in the stereo field. And that was a very subtle phaser as well. They've used the Ratatouille distortion, which I believe is the newer version of the Rat style distortion. With Rat style distortions, you tend to have a filtering off the low end and a spike somewhere in the mids, which is what this block is doing quite well. I really quite like how it tightens up the low end. And because the gain isn't so high, you can still play chords and it won't be that dissonant and out of control. If I can just play, let's say. Now on to the Worshipify rules of engagement. Number 1, I'm not going to jailbreak the preset. I'm going to try and work with this number of blocks as is. Number 2, I'm going to stick to the amp and the cap that was chosen because, well, this is Worshipify. I want to honor the amp and cap choices. I might change what the EQ is used for, which it looks to me like it's nothing going on. So here's what we'll do. I'll rearrange the preset to how I would use it on a Sunday. I would change out the delay and reverb choices, and I would change out the modulation choice. Hopefully we can get a Sunday ready preset at the end of it all. So let's go. Step 1, let's look at the amp and the cap choices. The cap choice is pretty cool. It's the Mattress Hitch 30. It's got a condenser microphone, a 67 condenser, which I don't normally use. And because the position is slightly off the center and it's pulled back, you don't get that bass buildup and you get some of the tightness with the overdrive. Very nice choice over there. I'm not going to add an overdrive or a compressor. What I will do is I will use this EQ as a second stage overdrive by juicing up the Ratatouille distortion right here. Because the gain of Ratatouille is not that high. I can afford to pump some volume into this in order to make the Ratatouille distortion even hotter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this out to a simple EQ. I can leave all this basically blank, but one thing here, I'm going to make a mid boost to make it even spikier so that we can have some nice cutting mids, which will help you solo over the top of the band. So by itself, it might sound very spiky, but in the context of a mix, I think this is going to help to cut through it all. So here is something I might do just to turn it up, and I'm going to make this as well. In fact, at these current settings, I think you can use it as an overdrive pedal too. So if I can play something. And now stacked with Ratatouille, so the first Ratatouille on. And now with the EQ on. I'm getting a lot of early 2000s rock out of this. Okay, the noise is getting quite loud, so I'm going to turn up the noise gate to something that I would use, so minus 60 and let's say 300 milliseconds, which is a pretty decent gate setting for something of this caliber. How am I going to get 3 flavors of gain from clean, crunch, and lead? I'm going to roll back the volume to have a clean sound. Hopefully this will work without a compressor. I guess that kind of works. Turn it up for overdrive. Turn on the ratatouille for a different flavor of crunch. And then a simple EQ for solo. Now that that is done, let's go on to change the delay settings, which I'm not going to go with the multi-step for. I mean, it's pretty cool to go from left to right, but we don't want that on a Sunday service. It might be a bit too distracting. Let's change that out for something a bit more usual. So I'm going to go with the transistor tape here. Go change this to the dotted eighth delay. Feedback and keep this at, actually I do like it quite high, 55%. Turn down the wow and flutter. Turn up the spread, which will help you to get a wider delay sound. I'm going to turn this mix down to 35% for the dry sound. And remember to keep the headroom high so that when you have multiple gain pedals in front, you don't end up clipping the delay sound. The dynamic ambience is cool and all, but I think I want to change this out for something easier to, and something more I'm more familiar with. So I'm going to change this out to a simple plate reverb, and I'm going to turn the decay, keep it that way, but I'll keep the pre-delay up to 100 or 90 milliseconds. I'm going to keep the low cut up and the high cut up. It's because I want this to be a brighter reverb sound. Turn this down to 25%. Remember to turn on trails, because if you disable the reverb, you don't want it to suddenly cut out. So what does it sound like together? Myself, I had to play like a 2000s era Hillsong stuff. Now, because we have chosen to use an EQ as a second overdrive and using the reverb as a simple plate, we now have the option to use different things in the modulation section. Okay, what would scream early 2000s? Chorus or flanger? Okay, I'm going to try a flanger. Anybody want to hazard a guess who that band is? Put it in the comments below. Fun fact, they were one of the bands that influenced so many of us to pick up the guitar and play in the band because it was just so cool. Alright, now that I've got the basic amp set up, I'm going to be moving things around. I'm going to put the wah in front, that's obvious. I'm going to have the volume pedal before the amp, and I'm going to start changing around the control scheme just to make it a bit more usable for me. Okay, I'm going to break one of my rules, which is to change the amp and the cab stuff. I'm going to change this microphone to something else, but I'm going to assign it to a foot switch so it's less of a sin, because then I can get a different flavor of the amp. Now you see that it defaults to 57 dynamic and 67 condenser. I'm going to choose a 121 ribbon just to hear how different it is. Condenser, ribbon. Now, to my ears, the 67 condenser sounded closer to a Bethel sound, especially with the stack, delay, and reverb. But when I changed it out to the 121, it gave off the vibes of Chris Tomlin or like those Matt Reedman kind of tones. And now that we've finished the editing phase of the preset, let's hear how it sounds like in a mix. Thank you for watching this video. If you found value in it, do hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon, as well as to check out my links on the Buy Me a Coffee page where I will put this preset in the free pack. And check out my other videos where I make presets that are Sunday ready. See you there.